I'm Mike Melnychuk from the University of Washington. I'm a research scientist looking at fisheries data and analyses involving management systems and how fish stocks are doing. The International Fisheries Innovation Network is a group of researchers from around the world, fisheries scientists, also economists, managers, and we're trying to build up a collaborative relationship in order to advance our understanding of fisheries, primarily in the developing world for small-scale fisheries. I have some experience with data analysis, and I enjoy doing data analyses involving large databases. We know a lot about fisheries in some areas of the world and not very much about fisheries in other areas of the world. In those that we do know a lot about, there's a lot of differences. Some stocks are doing very well, others are doing very poorly. There are many differences among different regions and within regions as well. In the developing world mostly, we know very little. What we're trying to do is to address some of those data gaps by looking at other methods, other kinds of approaches for advancing our understanding in what's going on with fisheries there and how we can improve fisheries for people's livelihoods. Regions will differ in the level of data that are available, and some approaches are appropriate for regions that do have a lot of data available. Other kinds of approaches are going to be more appropriate for cases or countries or regions where we don't have a lot of data available. What we're trying to do is to develop different surveys, different data analyses, different approaches for both of those different areas. Fisheries management systems are incredibly diverse all around the world, and there are a lot of different aspects to them, a lot of different attributes. They vary in incredibly different ways, just like stocks vary around the world. What we're trying to do is to describe management systems and to characterize management systems, to identify differences in order to be able to analyze data and ask what works, what doesn't. And that's probably going to vary among different regions or different countries. What we're doing for some of the data-rich stocks is to gather detailed information about how management systems operate, how fisheries management attributes are used, how they exist, and how they've changed over time. What we're trying to do there is to pair up information about how stocks are faring with how they're managed in order to look at some associations and some causal factors of which attributes of management systems are important in affecting fish stocks. So that's primarily limited to data-rich regions where we know a lot about stocks and how they're doing, and we're trying to characterize management systems to look at those associations. What we're finding is that many of the approaches that can be used in the developed world don't necessarily apply in the developing world. So what we're looking at are ways to characterize management systems across a wide variety of countries and a wide variety of fish stocks in order to look at some relative differences and ask overall what is most important in management systems for determining how fish and invertebrate stocks are doing around the world. To people who are concerned about the state of the oceans, I would say that's absolutely the case in some places or for some stocks. But in other regions, fisheries management is working really well, and we can demonstrate that. So the nuances between different regions and between different stocks within a given region are the important things. What we're trying to do is describe why those differences exist. It's probably due, at least in part, to some differences in how fisheries management systems operate. So we want to try to make those associations and see what we can learn about management systems and what might be successful and what might lead to failures. There are all kinds of tools in a fisheries management toolbox, and they can be used for different reasons. A variety of tools can be used to reduce fishing mortality rates, but the key step seems to be that in regions where fish stocks are being overfished, as long as fishing mortality rates are reduced, that can lead to rebuilding of fish stocks. And that seems to be pretty consistent across regions of the world. Where we're able to reduce fishing pressure, stocks can rebuild. There are a lot of success stories. If we're looking at individual countries, the United States, Norway, Iceland, New Zealand, they're among the countries that are generally thought to have pretty successful management systems, and that in turn have had stocks that have started to recover once fishing mortality rates have been reduced.